to take your investment game to the next level. Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest, and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.
Brandon, bam, bam.
Oh boy.
Bam.
Why? Hey, everybody.
It was a 30,000-pound weekend.
Well, it's always on the weekend, isn't it? Isn't that? You notice the regular market didn't move at all, hardly. Like they weren't phased. We're good.
They could absorb it. Yeah.
Well, they could absorb it, and it all happened over the weekend. Everybody had he done that on a Thursday, I think the markets would have done something, but it didn't. So what happened was he did it on a Saturday, right? So he did it on a Saturday. Crypto's open. Crypto took the brunt of it, and then over the weekend everything got, and then everybody's like, okay, not that big, And by Monday, the markets open up just fine because they realized nothing burger kind of thing, right?
Well, minus all the people that got evacuated over the weekend that no longer
have that's crypto. That's crypto. That's what I mean. It's not the regular stock markets.
But I don't think it's just them anymore, because now, as bad as Ethereum got hoovered, then you go back and say, well, wait a minute, who had a bunch of ETH-A and the other Ethereum ETFs on leverage?
Oh,
guess what they get today? They get a little email that says, that's right.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody expected 10% in one day. And the thing about a margin call is, once you get a margin call, even if the price goes back up, you still have to meet the margin call. You still have to put the amount of money sufficient to cover the margin call in, even if the price rebounds. Once you get that margin call is like a thing now. You're like, but the price went back up. They're like, doesn't matter. Once you got the margin call, you have to meet it. Either sell the asset. Now you can sell, if it went back up, you can sell the underlying asset to cover the margin call, but you can't just be like, I'm fine now. Nope. You have to settle the margin call. You have 3 days. So I do wonder what that would look like. I don't think we're going to have an inflow day for Ethereum today.
BlackRock already sent $17 million over to sell today. So, yeah, we're going to have an outflow day.
Yeah.
So they're going to sell ETH. But it doesn't matter. Because if the inflows don't matter, then the outflows don't matter either. So it's not a big deal. like either one, it doesn't matter.
I think that there must be, we talked about this over the weekend, there must be just an overwhelming giant pile of Ethereum that's not staked, because 35% of the entire supply of Ethereum is now staked. But the rest, the other 65% that people don't own, must just be sitting in exchanges waiting for OTC deals, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's the only real way I can kind of reconcile the price action of Ethereum over the last 25 days. Don't make no sense.
That's right.
There's either a bunch of OTC Ethereum for sale when there's all these inflow days, like 19 days of inflows in a row, meaning those funds went and purchased for 19 days straight, purchased Ethereum. And the price was range bound by the entire time, 2% until it sold off. 2%. That doesn't make any trucking sense.
No, I mean, for almost 70 days, it was price bound 2%, right? It's like
Yeah.
absurd. Something absurd. Is absurd. It's absurd.
So
Makes
it's
no
very
sense to
weird.
me either. Yeah.
It's very weird. I guess maybe a lot of stake pool operators had a lot of Ethereum they wanted to sell. Maybe they were forward selling their next supply at a higher price, whatever. I don't know, whatever it was. But anyway, what was almost 2,900 a week ago is now not 2,900. It is 2,200 and change.
Oh my goodness. That's a fall, right?
That is a dick punch. Okay, Brandon.
I haven't even looked at that. Holy crap. That's like, if you do the maths on that, let me I haven't even thought about how far that is to fall, but like actually at the high. So it was at 2,900.
It's like a 30% fall from like a week.
Went down to 2,113. Ah! So 27%
in a week, basically in 10 days.
So June 12th. Yeah, that was crazy, dude.
By the way, on nothing but positive news.
Yeah, I mean, nothing but positive news. You saw the state of Texas passed the Bitcoin reserve bill, signed it into law. Bam, done. And here we sit. Like no negative news whatsoever. And here we sit.
Yeah, Jeff, did you notice that? So we talked about that Friday a little bit. The fact that Waller came out and said we need to cut. Now you got to frame this right. When there's dissension at the Fed, don't think that what you read in the minutes is what they actually discussed. They edit the minutes. You guys all know that, right? The minutes are not an accurate representation of what happened because they'll update the minutes to make themselves look like they were like they could see the future. They've been doing it forever. The minutes are not like a corporate minutes in a real company where, that would be plagiarism or even, crime.
No, it's exactly what the Twitter KOLs do. They go back and they post two tweets. They post market's going to go up, market's going to go down. And then in 10 days, they go erase the down one. That's it.
So Waller said, Waller is the first one to come out and he also is spinning a bit of a yarn. Waller will have you believe that he's been talking about rate cuts for a year. That is a lie. He's been fishtailing for a year. He's been this way, this way, this way, this way. So he's retelling the history. He might be slightly misremembering, but what he is, he's the first stooge that the Fed has put out there to start talking rate cuts in. So he's going to come forward. You'll see another one or two governors come forward. They're going to cut in July. That's my bet is they're going to cut in July because they're not going to risk what they did last year, which was they should have cut in July. They probably should have cut last week, honestly. Well, they probably should have cut in May, but that's neither here nor there. I think they realized they should have cut in June. I think the dot plot is a bunch of self-aggrandizing nonsense. I don't think that those Fed governors, if you pulled them aside and you said, are you telling me that everyone in your district is happy and hiring and jobs are great and there's cash and credit creation, good quality collateral? They would say, hell no. Because those would all be impossible, right? That is just not the world we live in. So a lot of the dot plot is bluster. They're like, you think it's going up or down? Up, dot. Like so they were wrong by a full 100 basis points this time last year. Like this, listen, rates are only in the fours. That means they were, of their total monetary powers, they were 30-something% abject failure wrong. And so I probably think if it wasn't for Trump crapping all over Powell, they would have cut. But I think this was an FU Trump uncut, like a not cut. The problem is it's costing the American taxpayer hundreds of billions of dollars because we're the ones that eat that shit when they debase our currency. And they have to debase the currency when they have to keep selling at higher and higher return rates their government debt. We are on the hook for that shit. All of us, me and you, everybody here with any dollar in the bank, you're the ones getting shit on when the Fed sits on these high rates, when the rest of the planet is heading towards zero. Some countries are already at zero, and they'll probably go negative. So, and yes, we all know. Well, let's ask. Let's find out if we all know. Do interest rate cuts equal free money? Do interest rate cuts actually affect the market? Do interest rate cuts do anything? Just a yes or no answer. Just anywhere in the chat, if you will. We know the answer to this. That's right. But it doesn't matter what the reality is, because what the Fed's job is there to do is to reassure everyone that they have it handled. So even with their very limited IQ, it should be abundantly simple. All you have to do is tell people you're awake. You're here. You're a good fiduciary for the U.S. monetary system. We're here for you. When you're asleep, we're awake. But they're not. They have been asleep, and that's the problem. So they need to at least put forward the amount of Greek theater to let us believe that they're. See, that was the thing my buddy and I were talking yesterday about Alan Greenspan. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He admitted it. Over and over, he admitted, I don't think interest rate adjustments make any difference. He said this in the 90s. We just, forgot about it for 35 years, 40 years? In the 90s, he said interest rate adjustments don't work. Bernanke, Fireman Ben, said that monetary tools are 98% theater and 2% action. Like, they have told you that none of this stuff works. But still, Alan Greenspan was very kind of presidential, right? Like when he came out, you're like, oh, shh, Alan Greenspan's talking. When Jerome Powell talks, no one gives a shit.
Everybody's still talking. Like, guys, quiet, I'm up here.
Yeah, there's people in the front row. There's people in the front row playing paper football right in front of him and stuff. Like, they do not care what he has to say. They know he is a fool. And at some point, he will figure this out. And I think he's going to look back at his career and go, oh, I am the biggest stooge. I was just a political punching bag. And because he is so weak, he is so feeble that when people make fun of him, he'll do the opposite. He's like your typical, your kind of low IQ bully. I bet you can't push that kid over. Oh, yeah? Like
reverse. Yeah, right. Reverse psychology works.
Yeah, he is so weak. He is so intellectually weak. Now, he may be economically trained. He's a trained economist. But that doesn't mean anything because economists don't know how to make money. Listen, I know a lot of really good economists. They're broke as fuck, or they make their money from internet videos.
Well, and insider trading. So.
Well, economists don't. They don't actually trade. They don't want to be too close to it. Economists.
Yeah. They're too smart to. You guys want to gamble in the casino?
Yeah, I'm not going to
do that.
They don't actually get off They don't ever get off of stupid, right? They don't ever start. Yeah. They're just sophisticated, academics that watch all of us idiots perpetrate machinations in the markets. So, but listen, if you know that if you're an actor in a movie, Brandon, you have these are your lines. You're going to say them over and over. It's the same statement. You're going to read it 18 months in a row. The same statement. I just beg you this. Short-lived, not short-lived. How does he fuck that up every time?
Oh, no.
How does he get it wrong every time? Jerome, you've read the same statement for 18 months.
He sure has.
Welcome to Digital Investor. What? You're the president of the Fed, man. Come on. Hooked on phonics. Okay, that's all I got. All right. Do we need to Do we need to talk about wrapping Bitcoin a little bit?
I think it'd be great, Nick. I'm glad that you brought that up. I have
yeah.
a lot of questions, especially since Morpho uses wrapped Bitcoin. So I guess we kind of got to go over this stuff. I think it's going to be important for everybody to understand. Let me share my screen. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that.
Morpho.
Wrapped Bitcoin, obviously the subject of discussion today. If we talk about wrapped Bitcoin just a little bit, Bitcoin itself is not wrapped Bitcoin. I guess let's say that right now. So let's start right here. It's going to be easiest if I explain it this way. Bitcoin is it's Bitcoin, right? It's on the Bitcoin ledger. Wrapped Bitcoin is actually an ERC20 token. So when you have wrapped Bitcoin, you do not have Bitcoin. You have a proxy token. So how did wrapped Bitcoin come about? A place called Bitco back in 2013 decided they were going to custody a contract and give you a proxy token, basically a wrapped version of Bitcoin in exchange for your Bitcoin. So what they do is they actually take your Bitcoin, they lock it up in a contract, in a contract, they put it in a varying degree of cold wallets, and they mint one wrapped Bitcoin for every Bitcoin they receive. So any one of these partners here can go through here and they can actually mint wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. So what they'll do is they'll take one Bitcoin, they'll wrap it in just imagine like a little candy wrapper. I thought I had one, but I don't. Just imagine like you have a Starburst and it's unwrapped and naked and you're holding it in your hand. That's Bitcoin. And what they do is they take it and they put it in a little wrapper and they hold it in this contract. And they actually have, the good thing about BitGo is they actually have every single address that is holding all the wrapped Bitcoin listed. So you can go verify that all the Bitcoin's wrapped up in there. But right now they have 128,851 wrapped Bitcoin out in the world. Now, when they take this Bitcoin and they wrap it in those contracts and they give out a wrapped Bitcoin, anybody can do whatever they want with that wrapped Bitcoin. They can go find a lending protocol. They can stake it. It is now an ERC20 token that can be used on the Ethereum blockchain. And it gives it more functionality because right now Bitcoin doesn't have a ton of functionality on the Bitcoin blockchain. You can't do a ton of things with it. But on the Ethereum blockchain, you can do a ton of things with it. You can lend it, you can move it around. And so these guys, actually, these partners can come over here and they can come back to BitGo and they can say, well, I want my Bitcoin back. And BitGo says, well, we need your wrapped Bitcoin. And then we'll give you your Bitcoin back. So what they do is they turn in their wrapped Bitcoin and then they get their one Bitcoin back. This is the same way that kind of we've done things over on Node Market with the proxy tokens. It's the same exact thing. Like the N Twin is basically a wrapped version of Twin. And then when Twin launched, we made a bridge that you can go exchange your N Twin for Twin and you pulled it back out. Same thing. So right now, there's 128,851 wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. And then you're like, well, what about Solana? I see wrapped Bitcoin on Solana too. Do they have the same contract on Solana? They actually don't. Okay. So what the wrapped Bitcoin on Solana is people are taking this wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum and they're using the wormhole bridge and they're wrapping it on Solana. So it's actually 2 layers deep of wrapped if it's on Solana. So most of the Bitcoin on Solana is wrapped Bitcoin from Ethereum that got wrapped through the wormhole bridge. So all that stuff that you see on Solana is also in this contract as a proxy token, but now it's a proxy token on Solana. So I had a concern one day. I'm like, well, what if people are just printing wrapped Bitcoin out of thin air? And I guess you could do that if they're not using this contract here, but that's why you know you're using the correct Bitcoin because you can always trace it back to this contract if you go far enough. If you get your wrapped Bitcoin on Solana, you can trace it to the wormhole bridge and then you can trace it back to this contract here. And they have proof of reserves, which is super important to know that they have these proof of assets here. And then you can go verify every single wallet that holds the Bitcoin. So most things on the Ethereum blockchain, you need some wrapped version of it. Recently, you heard about CBTC, which is Coinbase's wrap product. They're doing the exact same thing on Coinbase. They take one Bitcoin, they wrap it in CBBTC, and they give you CBBTC back. And then you can take that CBBTC and you can go lend it against Morpho within Coinbase, or you can actually go on Morpho and use a CBBTC vault and lend it yourself. The other thing that I've seen lately is another player has come into the space, and this is Zeus. Zeus will let you take your Bitcoin. I actually use this because I had Bitcoin on my Xverse wallet, and I took my Bitcoin, I wrapped it for ZBTC, basically the same thing as wrap Bitcoin, because you can't take Bitcoin yourself. You have to use a partner and go directly to wrap Bitcoin on Ethereum. So I had to go through Solana first. So I took my Bitcoin, I wrapped it in ZBTC, and then I minted one basically, and then I went and I swapped it over on Jupiter for wrapped Bitcoin, and then I bridged it through to bridge over to Ethereum. So anytime you want to get your Bitcoin back, you can always go through the process and unwrap all these things, and then you'll have Bitcoin back. But the important thing to know is never send your Bitcoin directly to MetaMask. It'll be gone forever. I think somebody did that last night. It'll be gone forever. Luckily, it was only like $50, but it'll be gone forever because MetaMask is an EVM wallet that holds ERC20 tokens, and it cannot hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin is on a whole new network. Even if you're in the Phantom wallet, here you go. I'm going to pull this up here because I think this is cool to see, because Phantom has done actually a really good job of this. Okay. So, and I think Ethereum to some level has it as well. So the Phantom wallet has every single network on here pretty much that I use. MetaMask also has some ones that I use that aren't on here. So, but anyway, so you'll notice if you send it to Ethereum wallet, notice the address is way different than a Bitcoin address. So if you're trying somehow to send Bitcoin to your MetaMask wallet, the only address type that you'll get is an OX address. And you can clearly see that that's different than your Bitcoin address. But Phantom has all these different networks within the wallet, and the wallet kind of manages all these networks. So if you're sending regular Bitcoin, you're going to send it to your Taproot address. Okay. If you're sending wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain, you're going to send it to an OX address. If you're sending wrapped Bitcoin on the Solana blockchain, you're going to send it to the G9 address. So you just got to remember what chain your wrapped Bitcoin is on. And it's important because you could easily just send your wrapped Bitcoin into oblivion. Most exchanges and most places have safeguards and they won't let you do it. Even MetaMask says, oh, this is not an Ethereum address you're trying to send to. It's going to not send. And it says, no, can't do. So you should be good to go on most of that stuff. But Morpho, for example, I had a lot of questions like, well, how do I lend my Bitcoin on Morpho? You actually have to get wrapped Bitcoin. So the only way to do that is through the methods that I described. One, if you have Bitcoin on Kraken or on Coinbase, you have to turn that into a wrapped Bitcoin product. And I think Kraken has KBTC, which is not good enough for Morpho. Morpho doesn't accept it. Morpho does accept CBBTC because they're working with Coinbase. So what I would do on Kraken is I would go ahead and just sell my Bitcoin and buy either Ethereum or USDC, and then send my USDC on the Ethereum blockchain to my MetaMask, and then I could, or to Phantom, and then you have USDC on the Ethereum blockchain. And then you would go over to Uniswap, okay, and basically you would take that Ethereum that you sent over there, and you would swap it for wrapped Bitcoin. Or since I haven't used Uniswap in years,
would you do that over to Bridge?
No, what I was saying is, since I haven't used Uniswap in years, I would go over to Bridge, and you can do the exact same thing because the fees are so much less. Let's go ahead and see those fees, actually. I'm just going to show you the difference between wrap Bitcoin on Bridge versus Uniswap. So 0.05 gets me $114. So there's basically 9-cent slippage on Bridge. Let's pull Uniswap back up. Let's see, 0.05, and then let's go wrapped Bitcoin. Gives me, it's like a 11-cent slippage. It's a little bit more. Let's see if I jump this up to 5 ETH. It's going to give me an error because I don't have 5 ETH. Nobody has that kind of cash in their account. So that is about 30, let's see, 26 plus 9, $35 slippage. If I go to bridge, you can see the difference there. Maybe. Oh, I want to talk about it's you actually make $6 somehow. What? It actually gives you $11,421 and you're swapping out 11,000. So the slippage is really negligible.
Every now and then I make money on the bridge. I'm still not sure why. I mean, I guess there's somebody on the other side of the table going, "Damn it."
We really want to, but it has been way better. I use the bridge 100. I want to say 100% of the time now. Like I have not been using Uniswap at all anymore because their slippage has been so high. So if you do want wrapped Bitcoin and you just came from Kraken, you're on the ETH network, you're going to connect your wallet here and you're going to swap for wrapped Bitcoin. And then you can do whatever you want with it. The good thing about wrapped Bitcoin is sometimes you can lend that. Some of the vaults take wrapped Bitcoin, where Bitcoin you can't really do anything with. Apparently you get 1% on Kraken and get baby tokens or something. But wrapped Bitcoin, there's actually places to lend your wrapped Bitcoin and get 2-3%. So anyway,
Lisa,
so did I miss anything?
Well, what Lisa's saying, she sent hers, I'm guessing her Bitcoin. You said you sent mine to MetaMask and it shows CBBTC. No, that means you have you already wrapped it into CBBTC in order to send it to MetaMask. It wouldn't have gone to MetaMask if we're talking about Bitcoin. Or it seems like you had already converted Bitcoin into CBBTC, which is Coinbase's wrapped Bitcoin, and then sent it to your MetaMask. It's not gone. If it's there in your MetaMask, you have it. If it was gone, you would not see it. It would not be there. Hence, by the transitive property and basic grammar, gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Do you want to know what flavor this is, Brandon?
Let me guess. No, let me guess. Cherry vanilla.
No, I'm down to my last. I have another box that's brand new. I haven't opened it. It's like Christmas, but so I'm down to my last few. This was the last one. It's called Spicy Cowgirl. That's the name of it. I'm not making this up.
Prove it. I gotta see the wrapper. Prove it. I don't believe it.
You really don't believe me?
I believe you, but it's
called Spicy. That's why I waited till the end, because I was like, this one's not going to be good. And anytime they don't allude to the flavor, but you know what? They were right. It's salty with a hint of salmon.
Anyway, I'm not. Is it not? Is it really? No, it's not. That's not really what it tastes like. Okay. No.
Okay. No, it's like a cinnamony kind of thing.
Okay. Anyway.
I guess it also it smells like there's vodka in there. Like I could see some chick at a truck stop and like that's what her flavor is. She's like, put some more vodka in that coffee. It's 6 a.m. Yeah. Okay.
So the last thing that I want to go over, I'm on Morpho now, and you can see right now what chain am I on? I'm on Ethereum, right? You can see that, okay? And then you can see if you go over here and you select Bitcoin as the collateral, you'll see that, for example, Lisa, it takes CBBTC. So when you go ahead and click into this vault, you'll be able to see that you have CBBTC in your account. It'll show up right here, and then you can actually supply the newly minted from Coinbase CBBTC to Morpho, and you can borrow USDC. Super straightforward. Now, if I go back over here, you can also see that I can lend wrapped Bitcoin, which is just regular old wrapped Bitcoin, and borrow USDC. And since I have none in my account, I don't think it's going to populate. But anyway, I could go ahead and do that, lend one wrapped Bitcoin, and I could borrow 83,000 USDC against it and pay 4.57%. A couple people were asking me about the other vaults that they were going through here. Now, there's a little bit of risks. Remember this one. This one's interesting to look at. So what's happening here? If I were to lend CBBTC, which is the Coinbase wrapped Ethereum, and borrow wrapped Ethereum, that's a little riskier. Let me tell you why. You're basically borrowing a moving asset that isn't stable in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So you could be swinging wildly in both directions. And let's just say ETH has its run and goes up to $10,000. Remember, you borrowed 10 ETH at 2250, which is $22,500. If it goes to $10,000, you actually owe $225,000 back on that loan in dollar terms, but it's still 10 ETH, right? So if you kept it in ETH, it's not a big deal. But if you borrow ETH, swap it for like USDC and send it out to an account somewhere, you could be hosed at the end of the day. So be very careful what you're borrowing over here. I would probably stick to the stable coins if it were me, because this opens up a can of worms. I know it says 1.71%. You're like, whoa, that's it. But you're putting yourself in some serious risk.
It's like borrowing a cobra and trading in some rattlesnakes.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yes. It's yeah. I mean,
and
essentially,
then setting them loose in the backyard and feeling good that they're only going to bite the neighbor's kids.
Well, that's right.
Everything should be fine.
So that's what I would do. I mean, I would go collateralize wrapped whatever product, whether you have wrapped Bitcoin or CBBTC, those two types. Most people won't have anything but those two. And then you can borrow one of the stables. So that's probably what I would do. Anyway, did that wrap pretty much everything up on that subject?
That wrapped up.
Wrapped it up. Pretty easy.
Should get in the next week a full breakdown of everything that's going on at Libera. They said today that they're gonna give me a full everything. They had one of their board members that was on vacation. First, man, look, goddamn. If you work at a Web3 company as a board member, there's no fucking vacation. You don't get Saturdays off. You sure don't get 2 fucking weeks off in the summer to go gallivanting around, motherfucker. Have your phone on you in a fucking laptop or get the fuck out of Web3. Sorry. I know they won't listen because they don't listen to us. So they'll never hear that rant. But for the people that think you're a board member on a Web3 company and you get vacation time, go fuck yourself. Get the fuck out of our business and go somewhere else. We got no use for you here. Anyway, I said,
one more thing that I wanted to mention with the bridge. Their DAO has now accumulated $21 million in their wallet. That's how many fees and they haven't spent any of it. Really interesting. So I wonder, the problem with the bridge or investing into bridge or buying to bridge or anything, like their bridge is now getting like used by more than like, I hear it everywhere. People are using the bridge for everything. And a lot of people
good.
It is so good.
It's so good. Why is the token a penny, man?
And the token is getting beaten up, but I'll tell you why. They're horrible communication.
I ought to ape into that. Because
why though? Why? It'll just keep going down.
Well, no, they're bound to fix it at some point, right?
No, they're not. They're such garbage communicators, and they won't give any timelines for anything. They're not bound to do anything.
That's the consensus trade, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do what I just said. Obviously, that is not good advice. It's not advice at all. Don't do it.
But their bridge, like, is the most, I want to say one of the most, I mean, they've accumulated $22 million in fees, which is not bad, nothing to shake your stick at. But they need to integrate staking, DAO governance, and they need to wrap up season 2. Some of those things need to be done.
But they could do that. They could do these things.
They could do these things in about 1 second, but none of those things have been done.
I want to create, this is my new campaign. Midaga. Make the bridge great again. Midga.
That's already been started. It actually was a big movement last Tuesday. It lasted about 42 minutes and then it ended. Yeah, I know. Well, you missed it. You missed it.
I still have my what do you call those things you hold up?
Your flag. Flag.
No, the signs.
Banner.
No, like when you're out and you're like, like when the unions, when they strike and stuff, they hold up the big, there's like a name for it, like where you're striking a thing. You hold the thing up and you're striking, like we're on strike, and it says we're on strike, and it's got like a rainbow, like a heart that's colored in rainbow or whatever, and because there's only 2 bathrooms for male and female, and we want one that has some other symbol. Placard. I don't know. Shit, there's a name for it. Picket. I think picket. You're on the picket line. Yeah. You guys nailed it. Barry and Kirill nailed it. Pickets.
Picket signs, huh? Okay.
Yeah, mine's still drying.
Oh, the ink's still drying and it's not even the movement's already done.
Yeah, I know. And I spelled it wrong too. I spelled it MAGA. I spelled it MAGA.
Most people do. Most people spell it wrong. That's okay.
Okay, I actually had a MAGA one and I was just cleaning it up.
Hopefully that cleared everything up. The problem is that I've learned is somebody doesn't watch what they need to watch on this stream and understand the things.
Did someone actually try to send
not try.
This is why you always do a test transaction. People are like, how much should it be? Dude, the minimum. If the minimum is $1, send $1.01. If the minimum is $7, send $7.01. Send a minimum transaction when you're unsure of what you're doing. And guess what?
Yeah.
All of us are unsure of what we're doing at some point. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're.
Because I told you what I did.
Wait,
I was serious. Serious.
Did you almost make a boo-boo?
No, I didn't. I was right. I guessed. I did it right, obviously. So buying hype was tough. It was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, guess who owns hype now?
I couldn't take it anymore. I said it's tougher than I thought, but I do everything like I think you probably bought it on Coinbase or I don't know.
I thought you meant it was tough because it was just emotionally tough buying into the DGen coin.
No, all of it was tough because what I did is I did it decent. So I took what did I come off of? It was off of Solana, I think. Well, so yeah, I think I took what? No, it's either way. So either no, it was off ETH. It was off ETH. So I just took some. What?
The glasses can't work in both directions, or they're not. These are fake glasses. God damn it!
Dang it!
I got.
So you got fakies. So you got fakies.
It shouldn't work the same way in both directions. Somebody who's an eye doctor probably knows. I just got bullshitted, didn't I? This is the problem. This is why you don't go buy glasses at a mall eye place.
So what I did is I figured you could use the bridge, but this is interesting because if you go USDC, okay, so I did $5, right? Just like you said, $5 in USDC, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I have Hyperliquid, Hyper EVM, Arbitrum. I mean, I know Hyperliquid's on.
You would think.
Which one would you do?
Right? Hyperliquid.
Hyperliquid. Okay, so that actually.
But don't you have to probably go in and but there's the hype token. I would get the contract address from there and I would go to Hyperliquid and put it there.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I did, and I'm gonna tell you. So I did Arbitrum first. And I sent $5.
Oh, okay.
It landed over there, and I go to Hyperliquid's DApp, and I'm like, it says 0. I'm like, what the flip? 0. And then I pulled up my wallet, my Arbitrum wallet, and I have $5 in there. I'm like, well, it made it to the network, $5. Yeah. And then Hyperliquid's like, no, you got 0. And I'm like, that's bullcrap. So then what I did is I went back and I went $5 and I sent to Hyperliquid USDC.
Okay.
And it ended up in my Arbitrum wallet. So I had $10 in my Arbitrum wallet. I'm like, okay, $10, okay. So I go over to Hyperliquid, still says 0. Apparently on Hyperliquid, you have to deposit it into the Hyperliquid DApp. So you take your Arbitrum. Yeah, they're pools. So you take your USDC that's on Arbitrum. So it all ended up in the right place. You take your USDC that's on Arbitrum, you deposit it in the DApp, then you go to the DApp, and then you swap your USDC that's in the DApp to Hyper token or Hyperliquid token, and you bought $10 worth of Hyperliquid token. And now I'm up 4 cents.
All right. You can also get it on KuCoin, BitGet, Bitmart, Bitso, BitBravo, Arbit, Binance.us, MEXC. You can probably get it on Bitrue.
So you can't get it on Coinbase?
No, I didn't find it. I'm not on Coinbase.
Oh, okay. I'll log on.
Or at least that's not one of the markets that was listed.
Let me see. I'm actually really curious. Coinbase.
Yeah, it wasn't listed as one of the markets.
Transactions, more. No, my assets. No.
Mm.
I got to go to Coinbase One here, maybe.
But there's
No.
a big punch, fellas. Curvature is designed to face a specific direction. Yeah. Well, so what I'm saying is, if I can flip it around and it doesn't make a difference, then I don't have prescription glasses, do I?
No, you do not.
If it still just looks like a piece of glass, I've achieved nothing.
Yeah, you can't get it on, at least in my jurisdiction, I can't buy it on Coinbase.
Let's see. With no government stimmy checks to spend, do you see the bull run being when it starts being big? This with no government stimmy check. I'm still confused. Are you saying you don't think? Well, so we got to unpack that question. Are you saying, Chris, that if there's not stimulus checks, there won't be a bull run?
That's right.
I mean, that's what the question is in there. I don't think stimulus checks matter now. They did probably matter remember, you had two things during COVID. You had stimulus checks. You also had the heightened weekly unemployment insurance that was going out for 40 weeks. Everybody got an extension. Everybody got more money. A lot of people were working double jobs. People were cheating real bad, and people were getting the fake loans and all that. You had a lot of dumb money floating around that the government was willing to just throw into the system, punt it in there, just to keep people happy, because they shut the whole planet down. So because of that, yes, people had kind of a second income, and a lot of those people punted it. There was the whole Robinhood thing, the meme stonks, and then other people punted it into crypto. But I don't even think that holds a candle to the amount of money that institutions bring. And remember, guess what's coming? Stable coins from everywhere. Everyone, Walmart, Amazon, Meta, you name it. They're going to have a stable coin. They basically already said it. When this passes the House, and I think it could pass, let's say in the next 20 days. Let's say the end of the first by July 10th or something like that. There's a good chance that this passes through the House. Probably not the same version that passed the Senate. There's going to be some stuff stapled to it, but something close. If the Genius Act gets through, all those companies are going to be coming in. That is a lot of money in stablecoin. And where do you think? I mean, in my mind, where are they going to build all these stablecoins? On Ripple, on XRP Ledger, on the Stellar network? Bullshit. A couple of idiots will build there. Some signaling bullshit because somebody at Meta will be, seduced by some well put together, crypto computer scientist who persuades them that Lumens is the way. But no, most of the world's going to build on Ethereum or layer 2. I mean, that to me, that's a reasonable assumption. So if you have all these people coming in, all these American companies that can now launch their own stablecoins, and they realize, hey, look at Circle. Circle does nothing. They make less than 4% a year, and they're worth a 29x on their multiple. An impossible to repay multiple. They will never, ever be able to repay that. They can never repay it already. None of us will be alive by the time they pay those shareholders back, but no one cares because everybody's selling to another shareholder. It's the greater fool theory. And I'm okay with that. Right? Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? I'm fine. So, yeah. Okay, great. Crazy multiples. Same thing with Saylor. Crazy multiples. Ponzi scheme. Yes, yes, and yes. But when all these companies are coming in and all of them are building on Ethereum or layer 2s, mostly, I think they're going to stick mostly with Ethereum. And I think Vitalik might be borderline actual genius. Because if this was what he saw coming, and I can't imagine, I guess I hate thinking that he's that much smarter than the rest of us. It's got to be sheer luck. It's got to be luck. But if it isn't, he's legit genius. That big head of his might have an extra brain. Because if this is what he was building for and building out Ethereum and really kind of scaling it up for the big stablecoin laydown that's coming in the United States, well played, sir. Well truck and played. So I am very cautiously optimistic that Ethereum will do just fine. And anything else I would say behind the wall.
Yeah.
As far as the bull run is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Nothing else really matters. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. I know there's people like, no, Cardano. Nope. Solana, no. Not yet. It could help. But unlike Anthony Scaramucci's proclamation, no. It's not likely we live in one of the multiverse versions where Solana overtakes Ethereum. I looked. Me and Tony Stark went. We spent a whole day. We went to every multiverse. It never happens. Same thing with Cardano being a top 5 asset. Nope. We even found a whole universe of Charles Hoskinson. And even there, in that universe, Cardano's like the number 12 token. Yeah.
Even though he's the supreme leader.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Okay. Should we get behind the wall?
Oh,
Block Dag. Ain't no one care about Block Dag, Thomas. Come on. That's the one that just launched, right? The one that they've been just doing the long suck everybody in. The next guy pays a little bit more launch, right? That Block Dag, the scummiest of the scummiest, slow, attenuated, bullshitty launches. Am I talking about the right Block Dag? and Thomas, I'm going to guess you got sucked into it. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. It's a yes. And that's okay. Any midnight update. Ain't no midnight happening, Frank. I don't know what's the whole thing. The whole thing behind that was it's just another Cardano fail. It's just another. I don't want to get into it or I'll start cussing him like I cuss Powell. And I like to reserve my cursing for Jerome Powell right now.
Oh, that's where it should all be directed.
It should be Jerome Powell.
That should be all Jerome.
Do you think
Let's go behind the wall?
A layer 2 succeeding, they will all survive, but I don't know that they'll succeed. My last thing before we go behind the wall is just think about this. If it costs nothing to do a transaction, why would you hold more than one of the token? Why would you have any desire to hoard the asset if it costs a millionth of a penny to do a transaction? Like Solana. Solana's cheap when it works. It's cheap. So what do I have one Solana.
One Solana.
Guess what's cheap? Sui. Other than my Sui that's staking so that I could borrow against it, guess how much Sui I have in my wallet? One. And guess what? Nowadays, you don't even have to have a full Ethereum in your wallet because Ethereum's gotten cheap again, except for yesterday when everybody was getting liquidated like a mofo. Transactions were back up to like $18. I was like, oh shit. People
were they
broke.
Oh yeah. No.
People are getting broke. But otherwise, you don't even need to have a full Ethereum in your wallet. You used to have 3 or 4 if you're going to be trading for a weekend. Those days are behind us. So the reason to hoard those assets doesn't make any sense. So then if there's no hoarding effect, remember, use utility, wide scale adoption, and what would dummies do? Dummies hoard. They hoard. Right? And we want that hoarding effect. There's no reason to hoard these layer 2s. Arbitrum, what is it? What does it cost to do a transaction? Fractions of fractions, right?
Yeah.
So what do you need in your wallet? $5. You be able to do transactions for the rest of your life.
I sent $5 of ETH over there.
You'll be able to do transactions for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah, behind the wall. Let's talk about, there's a question about Jupe and a question about hype. Behind the wall, we'll talk about those.
Yeah. Seems we need to invest in, no, I'm not investing in hype. I saw it got broken one time and I don't feel comfortable investing in it.
Broken? It dropped like a ton.
No, I mean, remember when it got actually broken? I see
what you're saying. Yeah, someone
force liquidated. When your only job is math and 3 weeks into it, your math breaks down, I'm going to assume that there's other math problems we haven't caught yet. And I don't want to be around when that happens. It's like the same. I don't want to be the first guy that puts a Neuralink in. I want to be like the 9th version or the 10th version.
Yeah.
But not 1, 2, or 3, or even 6. Look at those. Remember those original iPhones? Oh, trash bags.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Remember the iPhones last week? Still trash bags.
Yeah. Unfortunately, God, they've done nothing. Talk about a company that's just gotten away with doing nothing. Just old nothing sandwich.
Sucks.
People love that stuff. Me too, but God.
I don't get it. I mean, once you get sucked in, you get sucked in, though.
Oh, bag full of dicks.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you don't want that. No one wants that.
Yeah, going behind the proverbial wall behind the wall to continue the broadcast privately for the digital investors and digital private clients. If you'd like to join us, simply go to nickblacknext.com and subscribe to one of our plans and immediately take advantage of our library of tools, tactics, and information. It's all designed to help you learn, grow, and manage your portfolio like a pro. Join us now.